On the corner of Clark and Addison in the north side of Chicago sits ancient Wrigley Field, site of baseball's greatest ongoing rivalry, the St. Louis Cardinals and the Chicago Cubs. Through the years, this matchup has featured such great ball players as Hack Wilson, Stan Musial, Ferguson Jenkins, Bob Gibson, and of course the great Ernie Banks. The Cubs and the Cardinals meet again for the 1,960th time. CBS Sports presents Major League Baseball. It's the Cubs and the Cardinals as you look at the National League standings in the Eastern Division. But today, don't worry about the standings. It's the Cardinals and the Cubs, and it's always something special. Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Jack Buck. And long before the people get here to the ballpark, the Cardinal manager, Whitey Herzog, now in his 10th year as the skipper, arrives at the park and stays very, very busy. What do you do, Whitey, when you finally get out here?
Well, the first thing I try to get done, Jack, I try to get the lineup posted. I always think it's very important when a guy comes to the ballpark to know whether he's playing or not. So I look through this little book here that Bielecki's pitched today. I know what every hitter in my ball club's done against Bielecki the last couple of years, and I make my lineup out. People think you just write the names down, but we really do study that a little bit. Then when I'm through with the lineup, of course, then I take yesterday's game and this book here that the pitchers kept for me, and I put it on the master chart here, and I try to chart every pitcher in a different color. That way, when Tudor pitches or McGrain pitches, I look at their color on this chart, and I know how the defenses should be set up. I get my coaches in here, and I'll say, now I want Ozzie to play in the hole with Tudor pitching and things like that. When I'm through with that, then I get the stat sheet, and it's very important, as far as I'm concerned, to check the other team's stats, especially the switch hitters. Do they hit better right-handed? Do they hit better left-handed? And I have to know all those things when I'm on the bench because I don't want to get beat by a guy in the 8th inning that's hitting 340 left-handed and 220 right-handed if I bring in a right-hand pitcher. So I try to have all those things prepared before I go out in the field.
And you love Wrigley Field.
Well, I love Chicago, Jack. I don't necessarily like Wrigley Field. I've always said that I've heard this for 40 years, beautiful Wrigley Field. And I really don't see what's beautiful about it. I guess if Ivy makes it beautiful, we ought to all put Ivy on our walls.
Let's join my partner, Tim McCarver.
These are the vines to which Whitey Herzog disdainfully referred, planted by Bill Veeck back in 1938. This ballpark, built in 1914, certainly holds its share of memories. Ernie Banks' 500th home run, Stan Musial's 3,000th hit. Supplying the memories this afternoon, Andre Dawson, Ryan Sandberg of the Cubs, and Pedro Guerrero and Vince Coleman of the Cardinals. I'll tell you one thing about this rivalry. Not only do the fans get involved, but the players, too. Should be a lot of fun.
They're here from St. Louis, Carbondale, Peoria, Bloomington, Moline, and the Quad Cities. It's a sellout at Wrigley Field, and it's breezy and cool. Let's play some baseball.
CBS Sports presents Major League Baseball. Today's game is brought to you by Buick and your Buick dealer. The great American road belongs to Buick. AT&T, the right choice. And by Budweiser, the king of beers. Remember, know when to save when.
All you have to do is check the flags at Wrigley Field. 63 degrees, a 17-mile-an-hour wind. Blowing from left to right, a left-handed hitter's dream and a right-handed pitcher's nightmare.
And two right-handers are pitching today, including Mike Bielecki, who was an 18-game winner last year. And look at his stats this year, 3-6. Tim McCarver will set the defense for you.
In left field for the Cubs, Dwight Smith, last year's runner-up as Rookie of the Year to teammate Jerome Walton. In center field, Marvell Wynn, coming over from the Padres last year on August 31st. Andre Dawson, the Hawk. You heard the interview with Greg Gumbel before the game. At third base, Curtis Wilkerson, who came to the Cubs from Texas, along with Mitch Williams, Paul Kilgus, Sean Dunston at shortstop. Made only one throwing error this year. Speaking of errors, Ryan Sandberg at second base. Only a second error yesterday since June 20th of last year. Slick fielding Mark Grace over at first base. And behind the plate, a guy who really doesn't receive as much credit as he should, Joe Girardi. And as Jack said on the mound, Mike Bielecki.
And here's the lineup Bielecki will be facing today. You get Vince Coleman out, and you'll beat the Cardinals most of the time. Willie McGee in center, Pedro Guerrero at first. Batting fourth for only the third time this year is Todd Zeile. Terry Pendleton at third. Milt Thompson in right. Ozzie Smith. Jose Oquendo at second. And another right-hander in the game will be Bob Tewksbury, pitching for Whitey Herzog. His ball club, 11 games out of first. Picked up a game on the Pirates, who lost last night, and he does not like Wrigley Field.
But he does. Don Zimmer and Whitey Herzog, actually their careers have paralleled one another, but they're only a game separating those two teams now in 5th and 6th place.
But the standings don't matter at all when these two teams play, either in St. Louis or here at Wrigley Field. The leadoff batter is Vince Coleman. He's having a terrific year. And how are they going to play for him? First of all, Wilkerson, the third baseman, is going to play in about as close as he dares to. And the outfield is going to swing around to the opposite field as Coleman bats left, and Grace is playing in tight at first. Coleman beat out a bunt single dragging the ball here yesterday, and here we go. You never know where Coleman's going to hit the ball, usually to the opposite field. Strike called by the plate umpire, Steve Ripley. He's behind the plate. Gary Darling at first, the crew chief Bruce Fremming at second base, and Frank Pulley, who worked the plate yesterday, is umpiring at third. That's Steve Ripley. In on Coleman, and a ball and a strike. And we know a little bit. We've been visiting with these Cubs and talking about the philosophy of pitching in on batters. You cannot win, particularly in this ballpark, unless you keep some of these guys off the plate.
I think the Cubs have an advantage today because their left-handed hitters have more pop than the Cardinal left-handed hitters. Cardinal power coming from the right side.
And that ball was down low, and Coleman is in the hole. 1 ball, 2 strikes. Coleman has hit 3 home runs. He's a lot stronger than he might appear to you. You know, people think of a greyhound when they think of a speedster, but he is strong, but he doesn't swing real hard. He just tries to make contact, but he does have 3 home runs. Over but low, 2-2. Willie McGee will follow, and then Pedro Guerrero. Folks still arriving. It's a sellout crowd, and it's tough to park here and tough to get into this park. And it's tough to leave when the game is over. They'll love it. 2-2. Right back to Bilucky. You get Coleman out, and you'll beat the Cardinals most of the time. Changes the game when Coleman doesn't get on base. Here's Willie McGee. He had 3 hits yesterday. You see his batting mark, .316, but only 1 home run. He's come to be kind of a slap hitter.
One of the charms of this ball club, the dimensions, 355 down the left field line, 353 down the right field line, but only 368 to left center and right center. That's where most of the home runs are hit.
That's through the hole. McGee has quite a stroke going. He had 3 hits yesterday, and he slapped it in the left. That's what Busch Stadium does to these hitters. None of them try to hit home runs anymore.
That's the type of ball club that Whitey Herzog had at Kansas City. Speaking of dimensions, he realized that Busch Stadium was too big to hit home runs. The Cardinals last in the National League in home runs with 31. And those are the types of hitters that they have in the lineup, with the exception of the guy coming up right now.
But even when he plays at home, Pedro Guerrero has become an opposite field hitter. He did hit a home run here yesterday, and he has 8 for the season. And he'll be pumping even though the wind is against him, blowing toward the right field corner. And by the way, he won't mind going in that direction and can homer into right center. A strike from Bilucky.
He's a hitter that loves to extend his arms. You have to crowd Guerrero. He loves to extend his arms, and as Jack said, power the other way.
1 on, 1 out. McGee has stolen 20 bases. Short lead. And he got that by him on a good breaking ball low, strike 2. Mark Grace is holding against McGee. Cardinals have stolen 98. And they really only have about 3 people who do steal the bases. That's Coleman, McGee, and Ozzie Smith. 1 on, 1 out here in the opening inning. 1 ball, 2 strikes to Guerrero. There's McGee.
One thing about the Cardinals, they don't care who's hitting. A lot of teams, when a big power hitter is hitting, they'll just let him hit. The Cardinals run at any time. Stealing over 200 bases for 6 years in a row until last year when Montreal led the National League in stolen bases.
And a foul ball out of play. There was Guerrero. He knew they'd be pitching him away, and he went that way. Cubs have a good throwing catcher in Joe Girardi.
He's thrown out 33% of the runners this year.
That's better than a lot of other catchers.
With Bilecki pitching, too. Bilecki, an excellent move to first base. Only 6 of 12 have stolen against him this year.
They say the afternoon will be better weather-wise as we go along. McGee at first, 1 out. And Guerrero fans. Down, down, down. The pitch from Bilecki for the 2nd out.
The reason that Mike Bilecki is 3 and 6 this year, a lot of hitters have been laying off the split finger fastball. It serves as the illusion of the strike, that ball going down. And the way to get the hitters to swing at it more often is to stay ahead. If you're ahead, they're not as selective. You go into your defensive mode, and that's what Guerrero was in then.
Look at that batting mark, 240. Yet Whitey Herzog says that this fellow, Zeal, is probably playing best of all on the Cardinal club. He hit a home run here yesterday. McGee more likely to run now. He's at first with 2 out. Guerrero doesn't usually chase that pitch that struck him out. He's a good 2-strike hitter.
When pitchers are ahead of hitters, hitters become defensive and have a tendency to swing at that split finger.
There's another hit for Zeal. He's been good with the bat lately. And McGee stops at second as Dwight Smith gets it back in. I guess it's a fact that everyone will agree to, Tim, that learning how to catch in the big leagues is more difficult than learning how to play any other position.
Absolutely. It's tougher to break in the major leagues as a catcher because you not only have to worry about your offense, you've got to worry about your defense, your throwing, the relationship you have with your pitchers, the learning process of handling the pitchers. Very few catchers have just broken into the major leagues and done well the first year. Girardi was one guy who did it last year, and the Cardinals expect the same thing from Zeal.
2 on, 2 out for Pendleton. And low and away. This has been one of the problems over the last couple of years for St. Louis. They just don't have that good number 5 hitter. And look here, Pendleton batting .239. He does have 38 runs batted in, but he's not very consistent in that spot. He may do it, though. He's got the wind blowing in his direction. And he chased that bad ball in the dirt. Girardi's going to be busy blocking that split finger pitch.
One thing the split finger does, it makes a hitter commit immediately. And once you commit, you're dead. You see more check swings on a split finger fastball than on any other pitch.
You're going to have a good fastball to throw that split finger pitch. 2 on, 2 out, 1 ball, 1 strike.
One of the knocks on that pitch is that by throwing the split finger that much or too much, you lose your fastball. Lose 5 miles an hour on the fastball.
St. Louis could take the lead here in the opening inning. 1 out single by McGee, a 2 out single by Zeal. And in the dirt, second and third with 2 out. That's a wild pitch. We told you Girardi was going to be busy.
Another problem with that pitch is the wild pitch. Bilecki leads the major leagues with 9 wild pitches. Girardi trying to get down, keep the ball out in front of him, but it squirts off to the side, and the 9th wild pitch of the year thrown by Bilecki.
Tim, when you were catching, how'd you like it when the ball hit the plate? That was fun, wasn't it?
All you can hope for is a true short hop. Anything that hits the plate or out in front of the plate, the tougher of the hops.
High and away, 3 and 1. Over at third base is Willie McGee. Todd Zeal's at second. They both hit their way on, and it's 3-1 on Pendleton. With another left-handed batter next, so Bilecki might come right after him here. And out of play, 3-2. And ball in on Pendleton, and he fought it off, fouled it off, 3-2. And the Souvenir, he's happy.
They don't throw foul balls back here, just home runs.
Yeah, when the opponents hit a home run against the Cubs fans throw the ball back on the field. 3-2. He has a base open. And the hit. A play at the plate coming up. He fumbled the ball a little bit in the outfield, and Girardi dropped the ball, and the Cardinals lead 2-0. Girardi should have caught the ball and made the tag, and it would have been a one-run inning.
I don't know, Jack. Short hop. Those are the toughest hops to handle because a catcher's mitt is the toughest glove to use. Now, if you had a fielder's glove, you might be able to make that play because you can make the catch in the webbing. But this is that short hop, tough in between hop. Catchers, you got to keep in mind, are used to blocking pitches like that, not catching them.
And the Cardinals break on top with 3 hits in the inning. And Milt Thompson is up, all 1 to him. I'm wondering if Todd Zeal ever touched the plate. I guess he figured he did. He had time to retouch it. But he left the area, and it is 2-0 St. Louis. And that's a ground ball for Dunston. This will be close. Out at first. For St. Louis, 2 runs, 3 hits. And 1 left for the young pitcher Tewksbury to protect at the end of 1/2 inning. 2-0 St. Louis. Here's the swing by Terry Pendleton on 3-2.
And the keen eyes of Jack Buck noticing the sleight of hand by Todd Zeal. Zeal indeed misses home plate with his feet, but watch his right hand. There it is. Better angle right here. Watch the right hand of Todd Zeal. Second run for the Cardinals.
And 1 left. Bob Tewksbury on the mound. A record of 1-0. The Cardinals brought him up when they sent Greg Matthews out. And he pitched a very good game. He has no record during his career against Chicago, and he used to pitch for the Cubs, so Wrigley Field is not a strange atmosphere for him.
Bob 0-4 for the Cubs in his last stint with them back in 1987.
Batter Dwight Smith. And a breaking ball misses. Here's the lineup for the Chicago Cubs, and it's a good one. Smith in left, Sandberg, Grace, Dawson, Wynn, Wilkerson, Dunston, Girardi, and Bilecki. Fly ball behind short. And Coleman one-hands the ball to start the Chicago first. We'll spend a little more time on that lineup for you. Dwight Smith. Now here's Sandberg, followed by Grace at first base, hitting third. Dawson. Wynn in center as they stack the lineup with left-handed hitters. Wilkerson's a switch hitter. Dunston at short, then Girardi, and Bilecki. We could talk forever about this batter.
Ryne Sandberg, if you can believe it, having a better year than he had in his MVP season in '84. A better year than he had last year with 30 home runs. Some numbers he's putting up.
And Tewksbury missed with a breaking ball. Tewksbury has to get his breaking ball over in his changeup because he cannot overpower hitters. Sandberg skies one to left. The wind is moving the ball. Coleman trying again, wants it, and he dropped it. This wind will really make you work here today. That's probably a base hit. He called for it. He wanted it. He thought he was going to catch it, but he didn't.
Well, you got to check the flags. The flags are blowing from left to right. Coleman made the initial call. It's going to go as a double for Ryne Sandberg, but Willie McGee had McGee and Coleman check the flag. They would realize how difficult to play this is for Coleman. The wind kept taking it, and McGee should have called for that ball, but he couldn't run Coleman off.
It would have blown right to McGee, and there's the number 3 hitter, Mark Grace, ball 1. And Grace Grace disappointed with his production figures. Only 24 runs batted in. Suddenly, the tying runs at the plate for the Cubs. That's the way it happens here. This one in the dirt ball, too.
This baseball is played in a very imaginative way here at Wrigley Field. Nothing is routine, as you just saw that double by Sandberg.
Coleman chased McGee away. Thought he was going to catch it. He must think he's playing in Candlestick Park today.
Thought he was faster than the wind.
Base is open, but the big guy is on deck, and Tewksbury falls behind 3-0 to Mark Grace. You cannot let this ballpark intimidate you when you're pitching. You've got to come and get people, and you can't afford to walk batters like that. We're going to have an exciting afternoon here today. Here's the Cardinal defense.
Vince Coleman in left field, Willie McGee, the center fielder, Milt Thompson. You don't see too many balls hit between those three. Terry Pendleton, his second Gold Glove last year, 10 Gold Gloves in a row for Ozzie Smith. Jose Oquendo, only one error this year. Pedro Guerrero, average as a fielder at first, and Todd Zeile, an improved catcher. He's improving daily.
A pop fly put Tewksbury in trouble, and the walk, and now Dawson. 2 on, 1 out. That's a strike. Andre the Giant. Look at those figures. He used to steal a lot of bases to go with those impressive offensive figures, but not anymore with those bad knees that he has. And he got it by him. Tewksbury will sneak that fastball past you, and these two, Tewksbury and Zeile, work together in the minor leagues at Louisville, so Zeile knows what his pitcher can do and what he can't do.
Very unusual batting stance. That left foot of Andre Dawson, the heel hits the ground before the toe. Very unusual stride.
1 ball, 2 strikes. He's a wonderful person. You look at his countenance, you look at those eyes, and you think he's a mean devil, but he's a really nice guy. 2 on, 1 out, 2-0. St. Louis, first inning. Missed 2-2. Where do you think they'll come after him on 2-2, Tim?
Well, you got to keep the ball away from Dawson. If you make a mistake inside in this ballpark, it's a home run. You make a mistake away, it's a single.
2 on, 1 out. This crowd sits very close to the action here at Wrigley Field. They don't miss a thing. We had some rain in Chicago this morning. Fortunately, it cleared up here near game time, and that's what they talk about, the friendly confines of Wrigley Field. 2-2 is the count. And he got him with a breaking ball. Kept it down, kept it away. Struck him out. 2 on, 2 out.
Most breaking balls are effective when they're out of the strike zone down. You saw Coleman get jammed in the first inning with a ball out of the strike zone. I've always been under the opinion that most swinging strikes are balls that are out of the strike zone. That, again, is the difference when a hitter has 2 strikes on him. You have to go after it.
Win with a strike call on the outside part. You certainly want to keep the ball away from the left-handed hitters on a day such as this. The wind bristling out there at 17 miles per hour. 2 on, 2 out. Marvell Wynn hits it to Oquendo. Cardinals on top after 1 inning. A hit and a walk, and 2 left for the Cubs. 2-0 St. Louis. The dugout the American League players will be occupying on July 10th. Here we go with Ozzie Smith hitting one straight up. And Mark Grace makes the catch. We're underway in the second inning. St. Louis on top 2-0. And let's Let's check out a few matters. Things might change tonight in Montreal. Pittsburgh plays there and could take over first place.
And the New York Mets have been hot recently. Buddy Harrelson, the manager, the Mets have won 11 out of 13. Too early to tell whether Harrelson's made a difference or not, because I think that team's playing well right now because of all the rumors about Davy Johnson being fired.
Here's a good play on a line drive to Grace for the second out. 2 pitches, 2 out here in the second inning.
Out of the strike zone, a curveball down and in, and Mark Grace is very graceful. His name certainly denoting the type of fielder he is.
And Tim, on that pop fly, you'd like to have an aggressive person, whoever it is, a first baseman or third baseman, who wants those pop flies on a difficult day.
Take charge early, but it takes a lot of courage in this ballpark.
Well, I've never seen Tewksbury get a hit. 0 for 4. Ball 1. They're underway at Houston. And it's 1-0 Giants. Boy, are they going good. And the Red Sox jump ahead of the Orioles. I think we put the Orioles in a slump when we did their game last week. Tewksbury is 1 out of 18 for his career, and it's a 1-1 count. And a foul, and now this is going to be an easy inning for Mike Bilecki.
In that game down in Houston, you saw another RBI by Will Clark. Incidentally, he is the leading vote getter in the All-Star game. Over 700,000 votes for the Giant first baseman.
See you later, and that's the second strikeout for Bilecki. Now he's retired 4 in a row. Oh, they have a good time in the bleachers here at Wrigley Field. The bleacher bums, they're called. They're pretty well behaved these days. In some past years, they've been throwing stuff at the outfielders and so forth, but they've calmed down. Wilkerson, Curtis Wilkerson, is a switch hitter leading off. And ball 1 from Bob Tewksbury. Wilkerson playing third base. The ball had pretty good movement. You got it by him, 1-1.
That's that circle change that Tewksbury throws, and he has credited that with being a much more effective pitcher on the big league level.
Fly ball for McGee. He'll be on his tiptoes. 1 out. Cubs had a wasted double and a walk in the first inning when Dawson struck out and Wynn left them on. Here comes Sean Dunston. Interesting player. 301 batting mark, 10 home runs, outstanding shortstop. Some say the best in the league, and of course there are other good ones like Barry Larkin and Ozzie Smith and Spike Owen and others. Strike on the corner.
Sean Dunston, I'll tell you, that's appropriate for Sean Dunston. He recently got his 100th walk.
Another one for McGee. And 2 out. And that's the sign that Dunston sees coming to the park, and he believes it.
Yeah, right. The second worst ratio in baseball. And who's the worst? Well, his crosstown counterpart, Ozzie Guillen, was 93 walks in 3,150 at-bats. Dunston with 100 walks and 2,599 plate appearances.
Don't walk.
Thou shalt not pass, a Bible hitter, right?
All right, here's Joe Girardi. He's from Peoria, Illinois. So it's kind of hometown. It's not too far away from Chicago. And he's done a wonderful job. Don Zimmer is pleased with his work in the absence of Damon Berryhill. Ball 1. And Berryhill, that was a shame. A switch-hitting catcher. They're hard to come by, and a good defensive catcher, and he is out of action. A bouncer to Ozzie. Down go the Cubs. 1, 2, 3. Now we play 2 innings. 2-0 St. Louis. Of other afternoon games today in the major leagues, and we'll keep you up to date on those. And you see the Giants leading 1-0 in the second at Houston. That's where Jim Cott and Dick Stockton are working for CBS today. Here is Coleman. A strike. Coleman hit it back to the pitcher to start the game.
Give you an idea how far away that scoreboard is. Nobody has ever hit that scoreboard, even with the wind blowing out. Roberto Clemente and Swish Nicholson came close. Sammy Snead did, however, hit a golf ball over the scoreboard.
Who caught it?
I wonder if they threw it back.
1 ball, 1 strike. Top of the order. There's a little advantage for the Cardinals here in the 3rd inning. They have Coleman leading off, whereas the Cubs will have their pitcher leading off in the bottom of this 3rd. Off the plate inside. Even though Bilecki is 3-6, an earned run average of more than 5, his manager, Don Zimmer, is not unhappy about the way he's pitched. He's talking about location has been bad, and he'll go along well and then suddenly make the bad pitch. 3-1, and here's a fellow you certainly don't want to walk. Coleman has stolen 41 bases, leading the major leagues. Ricky Henderson leads the American with 32.
And the only other guy in baseball who can intimidate the opposition any more than Coleman is Ricky Henderson.
Leading off in the 3rd, and that's too low. No, Coleman hit his way out. You know, Coleman doesn't go up there looking for walks. He's getting to be a lot like Lou Brock was when he played for the Cardinals.
He didn't have the power that Brock had, but you can't really overstate this. You're a different hitter when you're ahead in the count. And I'll tell you, if the don't walk sign was appropriate for Sean Dunston, then the green light is appropriate for Vince Coleman.
Bilecki is reputed to have a good move to first. Coleman not good. And a strike. That's very important for Bilecki to get ahead of Willie McGee.
We talked about the Henderson-Coleman comparison. And Coleman only 7 bases ahead of Ricky Henderson. Ricky Henderson continuing. He's over 900 now in pursuit of Lou Brock.
Coleman was leaning, and he drew a throw. And you consider the other things that Ricky Henderson does, hitting for power and so forth. What a good piece of property he is.
Yeah, Henderson didn't stop after 820 games. He kept going.
We'll see him next week. Oakland at Toronto. There goes Coleman. Oh, he's hung up, and Girardi held the ball. Bill Coleman calls time. I don't know what caused him to stop it. It's amazing that he can stop and turn around and get back. And Girardi, of course, was only looking at second.
Coleman must have slipped. Realizing he didn't get a good jump, he slips going back to first. And you might be thinking, well, why didn't Girardi throw the ball to first base? Well, he had already committed. He had made the throw through. Actually didn't throw the ball, but he made the motion and couldn't adjust in time to get Coleman at first.
1-1 to McGee. Now he's in the hole, 1-2. I started to say a moment ago, it's very important, even though you want to keep the runner close and try to keep him from stealing, to get ahead on the count to the batter and try to get some outs, even as you deal with the potential base stealer, as opposed to falling behind in the count and opening up a big inning or walking people.
Yeah, it's the threat of the stolen base that's more effective than the stolen base itself.
Coleman is going. You're out, McGee, and out at second. Coleman says something to Frelling. That's a double play, a strikeout and out stealing.
That's the 8th time this year that Coleman has been thrown out. I mean, a perfect throw by Joe Girardi. Watch the first step that Coleman takes. He picks his right foot up, and that is not a good technique. I talked to Vince about it before the game. He said he tries to pivot on the right foot, but he can't help it. He gets too nervous, he gets anxious, and that's why he takes actually the wrong technique in going to second. You're supposed to pivot on the right foot and not pick it up and put it down, because that takes time.
Guerrero is a little different hitter with the bases empty. He's more effective when he has folks on base. And he goes the other way into the corner, into the well is Dawson. It's up against. And Guerrero's going to try for 3. Doesn't get many triples, but he will be there with 2 men out. So that hurts St. Louis with Coleman out stealing, but you live by the sword and you die by the sword.
We talked about the extension of Pedro Guerrero and how he loves to go the other way. Full extension. And with the wind blowing out, this ball misses by about 5 feet from going out. Remember, it's 355 down the line. First triple of the year for Pedro Guerrero.
Guerrero is very gimpy when he walks and when he runs, but once he gets rolling, he covers more ground than you would imagine. Coleman shaking his head about being thrown out. And now it takes something from a Cardinal viewpoint by Todd Zeile with 2 out, and he's single to left his first time. Runner at third, 2 out. Ball 1. In the third inning, St. Louis leading 2-0. Barry Pendleton drove in 2 in the first after hits by McGee and Zeile. And blocked by the catcher, Joe Girardi. We've been talking about that split finger delivery. The bottom falls out. It's tough to catch, tough to block sometimes.
If a pitch usually fools a hitter, it fools a catcher too, even though he knows what's coming. You're always anticipating that ball in the dirt, so you go down with it. And as we said earlier, Mike Bielecki with 9 wild pitches. He's a tough pitcher to handle. Get a little apprehensive with a runner on third if you're the catcher.
And that one sails outside 3-0, and you can bet your bottom dollar that Zeile is swinging. He looks at the third base coach with a runner at third, 2 out. That's Rich Hacker, who probably gave the swing sign, and he took 3-1. There are some catchers, they say, who will not call for that pitch that might go into the dirt with a runner at third.
Well, you got to correct that immediately if you're a manager.
Ball 4 puts Zeile on base.
I mean, think about it. You can't, just because you can't handle a pitch, if the guy can't hit it, you can't go away from calling a pitcher's best pitch if you can't handle it. And a guy like Don Zimmer would correct that immediately. Girardi's not that type of catcher, however.
Well, the Cardinals have had a walk, a single, and a triple in this inning, but still haven't scored. It's still 2-0. And Pendleton, who drove in 2 in the first, will try to do some more damage. On the corner, called strike. Pedro Guerrero is at third base. And across the way, Todd Zeile. He is no threat to steal. There's hitting room through the right side. Off the plate to Pendleton, 1-1.
I'm a little surprised that Grace is holding Zeile on at first base. I mean, Pendleton could find the hole. Zeile has no stolen bases on the year. He's not a fast runner. I'm surprised Don Zimmer doesn't have Mark Grace behind Zeile at first.
Pendleton fouls it. He's in the hole, 1-2.
So
Grace holding tight against Zeile.
You've got Sandberg at second base. See the big hole between first and second. There are some first basemen who don't like to play behind runners because the runner sometimes is an impediment in case the ball's hit their way.
Let's see what Bielecki serves up. 1 ball, 2 strikes, 2 on, 2 out. And a foul by Pendleton. Bielecki used to belong to the Pirates. He was traded over to the Cubs for Mike Curtis. Won 18 games last year. Helped the Cubs win the division title. Took a step in and it killed him, and 2 runs are going to score. And Pendleton goes for third, and he is safe with 2 out. Well, perhaps that's what happens when a fella is not hitting, and that's the problem with the left fielder, Dwight Smith, and that ball fooled him totally.
Well, it fooled him, but I don't know whether it's because he's not hitting or not that he misjudges this ball. I think, again, it's the elements as you see Zeile, who's going to score easily from first base. That's the second 2-out triple for the Cardinals. You don't see many triples with 2 outs. How about 2 in an inning? As Smith breaks in, and by the time he recovers, it's too late. 4 RBIs already for Pendleton.
And a strike call to Milt Thompson. That ball was up a little bit, Tim.
He drives it to left field. It's the first step. You see the first step is in, and the ball takes off. A triple for Pendleton.
He's perched at third with 2 out.
There it is right there. Once you commit up, you make those 2 steps up, and then that ball takes off on you. And I'm sure Dwight Smith, knowing the wind's blowing to right.
This is a small ballpark, but it must seem like you're in the biggest ballpark in the country when you're chasing that ball to the wall. What a nasty feeling that is. 2 balls and a strike to count to Thompson. He's 0 for 1. He fouls it 2-2.
We talked earlier about that number 5 hole not being productive. Well, Terry Pendleton with a single and a triple, 4 RBIs already in this game.
2-2 to Thompson. And back to the pitcher. 2 runs on 3 hits and 1 left. We'll return to Wrigley Field after this word from your local station. Let's have a barbecue and watch the Cardinals and the Cubs. And let's look at the leadoff hitter here, Mike Bialecki, the pitcher. He's had a half a dozen hits. Suddenly he's become a fair hitter. Foul ball, strike 1. Things might change. Toronto is trailing the Yankees 2-0 in the second. Boston might take over first place today.
Kelly Gruber having a terrific year, and we'll see him next Saturday. Toronto against Oakland. Roger Clemens going for victory number 12. He's doing it against a team that rat-a-tat-tatted him last Monday. 7 runs in the first 2 innings for the Orioles.
Bialecki becomes a second strikeout victim. And how about this Detroit outfielder?
We talked about the Cardinals and their 31 home runs. The whole Cardinal team has 6 more home runs than Cecil Fielder. Fielder with 25 home runs. Cecil Fielder, I beg your pardon.
Mattingly apparently suffering from a lack of support in that Yankee lineup. There's a base hit by Dwight Smith. That's the second hit of the day for the Cubs. Now, I want to tell you something about Wrigley Field. And Tim McCarver knows this better than I because he played here. A 4-0 lead is nothing. It doesn't mean a thing.
Guerrero playing in for Dwight Smith. I played in 2 games in particular here in 1976 with the Phillies. We were ahead 13-2 we're trailing 13-2 in the 6th inning, and ended up winning the game 18-16. Mike Schmidt hit 4 home runs that day.
Something of that sort might happen today. And the batter Sandberg, who has a very good batting eye, takes ball 1 low. He got a gift double in the first inning.
He's got a good batting eye when the ball's inside. This is the deadliest inside hitter in the National League. He doesn't foul back inside pitches. He hits them hard.
That's on the corner. You've got to pitch him away. 1-1.
Tewksbury threading the needle on the outside corner. The only way you come inside to Sandberg is way off the plate to knock him back away from the plate. Don't try to get him out inside with an inside strike.
1 on, 1 out. Dwight Smith has stolen 8 bases this year. That's over but low. 2-1. The pitcher is Bob Tewksbury, and you'll notice he'll be changing speeds, throwing the breaking ball, not allowing the other team to hit the fastball very often. Sandberg gets a base hit to right. Let's see how far Dwight Smith can come. They hold him up on a double by Sandberg, his second double of the day. That's him, man. He's a smart hitter. He's not stubborn or obstinate. You pitch him away, he'll hit it there.
His only hit yesterday was to right field. He was 1 for 4. You see him going 1 for 4, and you think he's slumping. He said, if you're going to pitch me away, I'll hit it that way, and that's what he does. Double number 16 on the year for Ryne Sandberg.
Bill Thompson digs it out, gets it back in, and with one out, they held the lead runner, Smith at third. Now here's Mark Grace at the plate, and this is where he has been disappointed in his performance this year. Infield back. And that'll get one run home.
Pedro Guerrero had an idea about coming home, but you can't do that with a 4-0 lead. You could see Todd Zeile pointing, go to first base, get the out. Don't be coming home to me.
Don't throw that sucker to me.
No, sir. No, baby.
So now the other man at third, 2 out. You're right, Tim. Tying run. Come home with the ball. He had a half a chance at it, but not 4-0.
No.
Dawson struck out his first time. Score 4-1 St. Louis in the third. And he chased a bad ball. Tewksbury changing speeds constantly, keeping the ball down. He was excited about working this game of the week. He was figuring the pitching rotation earlier in the week, saying, I might get that game. He likes it.
13-5 last year at Louisville, the AAA affiliate of the Cardinals. Pitched his only major league shutout for St. Louis last September.
Ball blocked by Zeile. Important with a runner at third, 2 out. Tewksbury came to the Cardinals as a 6-year free agent. So you have to admire his stick-to-itness. People are always looking for pitchers. Dawson hits it into the hole. As he puts it in, a run is safely across. Cuts the Cardinal lead in half, 4-2, and brings a tying run to the plate just like that.
What is this, the end of civilization? I mean, Ryan Sandberg makes an error yesterday, and now Ozzie Smith makes an error. That ball came up on him a little bit. It hit in the heel of the glove. Watch. See that ball coming up? It doesn't stay down. No RBI, of course, for Dawson, but a 4-2 ball game now.
And a tough break for this pitcher, Tewksbury. And remember, I mentioned earlier, he doesn't pitch around errors very well. And there's one for Oquendo. He stayed right with that, and the inning is over, but the Cubs get 2. 2 runs, 2 hits, 1 error, 1 left. They've left 3. We've played 3, 4-2 Cardinals. We head into the 4th inning. His teammates have picked up a couple of runs for Mike Bilecki, who pitches to Ozzie Smith. Shows a bunt and takes the ball. Bottom 3 in the order, Smith, Oquendo, and the pitcher Tewksbury. That's ball 2.
Ozzie Smith's second error in the last 2 days. 10 gold gloves for the slick fielding Cardinal shortstop. And as we said, on the heels of Sandberg making an error yesterday, the infield is complaining a little bit about the infield being a little hard before the game.
3-1 to Ozzie. That's what Ryan Sandberg told us. It wasn't a visiting infielder groaning about the situation. And Sandberg booted one yesterday. So we've seen a couple of rarities. Ball 4.
Here it is yesterday, only the second error of the year for Ryan Sandberg. You may remember earlier in the year, he set a major league record with errorless games over 123 games. That's his first fielding error since June 20th of last year. Year away.
Oquendo lined to first his first time. He is one of 5 switch hitters in the Cardinal lineup. He gets ahead.
That's not bad fielding, is it? 1 error a year?
No. Leadoff man on with a walk. 4-2 Cardinals leading, 4th inning. That's inside. And we have a left-hander down in the Cub bullpen. That's Joe Kramer, who pitched in yesterday's game. Holding against the runner. Smith is not feeling at his best in the running department, and he's not running. Out of play. 1 ball, 2 strikes. Ozzie has stolen 16 bases this year. But he has a bit of a ligament problem in one of his knees, so he's laying low over there in the first few pitches. In the dirt, Girardi blocked it, and Smith can't go.
Oh, great play by Girardi. We talked earlier that whenever a ball hits in the dirt in front of the plate, it's a lot tougher play for a catcher. Watch this split finger fastball in front of the plate. And Girardi couldn't find it immediately, but he found it in time to hold Smith to first base. Good play by Girardi.
And 2-2 to the batter. By Lecky was the second given to St. Louis today. The runner is not going, and that's ball. And how he does go is Girardi can't find the ball. He's having a difficult afternoon catching by Lecky, and that'll be a wild pitch. That's his second today and his 10th this year.
Another split finger fastball, and that one hit the plate again, hit the corner of the plate. Girardi not as fortunate this time as the alert Ozzie Smith walks to second base.
And the count has gone to 3-2 on Oquendo. And a base hit. They bring the runner home. They don't stop these Cardinal runners very often, and the throw into second base, and it's 5-2. Only the 15th run batted in for Oquendo this year. You could see Ozzie limping going into the dugout there, Tim. So the leadoff walk and the wild pitch and an RBI single, and now the batter Tewksbury will be up there trying to bunt.
Whitey telling us before the game that he was thinking about resting Ozzie today and putting Oquendo at shortstop, but Smith wanted to play. Ends up scoring the Cardinal 5th run.
Tewksbury takes a strike. He ought to be able to get the ball down on this grass field. He fanned his first time. A run is home. 5-2 St. Louis. And they about hit the Cubs 7-3. We're in the 4th. Tewksbury does get the bunt down. He's tagged out by Grace for the first out of the inning, and Greg Gumbel is standing by in New York with an update.
Well, Jack, the last thing the Giants need is another injured pitcher, but watch Trevor Wilson on the bunt by Mark Portugal. Coming over, he jams his right ankle. They taped it. He still couldn't pitch. He's been replaced by Randy O'Neal. We'll update you on the condition of Wilson later, but it's 1-0 Giants, top of the 4th inning. Back to the north side of Chicago. Jack and Tim.
Thanks, Greg, and that's bad news for the Giants. And Trevor Wilson had come on to help him out, and bad news for Bilecki. He leaves, and here comes the left-hander Kramer into the game for the Cubs.
By Rollies.
And the relief pitcher is Joe Kramer. He's a left-hander, and that doesn't bother the Cardinals much with the 5 switch hitters. And Coleman is up. Runner at second. Foul ball. That ball really whistled into the seats. I tell you, they sit very close here, and fortunately no one, well, I hope no one was hurt. This Kramer has some terrible figures with regard to innings pitched and hits allowed.
His 17th appearance on the year. He started the season with the Cubs. He was called up on June 12th when Mitch Williams was put on the disabled list.
Some of the top relievers, well, the top relievers, Eckersley and Thigpen in the American League, and Franco and Lefferts in the National. You can see the points with the wins, the losses, the saves, and the blown saves. Eckersley and Thigpen, Franco and Lefferts. Runner at second, 1 out. Strike call, and Coleman knew it. He doesn't quarrel. So Kramer does his job and will pitch to McGee.
Kramer threw 2 breaking balls on the inside. Coleman pulled them, and now the fastball on the corner. Might have been a little outside, but when your catcher's sitting on the outside part of the plate or just off the outside part of the plate, most umpires will give you that pitch, especially with 2 strikes.
Kramer appreciated it. Here is McGee. He has singled and struck out, and he chases the ball very low, and he'll do that. He'll swing at anything. And effectively, hitting .316 at the start of the day, he could add to the St. Louis lead, which is 5-2 in the 4th. And he golfs one into deep right center field, and Wynn is on the move, and he caught it. The wind kept taking it away, but Marvell stayed with it, and Kramer got him out. St. Louis gets 1 run on 1 hit. They leave 1. They've left 3. And the Cardinals have built a 5-2 advantage. Guarantee you 5-2 will not be the final score here today.
You can book that. Matter of fact, I'm looking for about 20 runs to be scored today.
Wilkerson, ball 1 in the dirt. Everybody's throwing the ball in the dirt. That's what this ballpark will do to you. The lights are on here on a rather dull day weather-wise, 63 degrees, but lots of fun in this park.
The lights will be on the next time we're here, too.
That's up to Wilkerson. That's July 10th for the All-Star game. How about this one? Were you a part of that one?
I most certainly was. 23-22 in 1979. How about that 7-6 after the first inning? Randy Lurch, the starting pitcher for the Phillies, hit a home run in the top of the first. Donnie Moore, the late Donnie Moore, hit a home run in the bottom of the first.
Well, Kendo got lucky on that one. He was going to have to really dig down, but that ball came up nicely, and he threw Wilkerson out for the first out in the home 4th inning. First base umpire is Gary Darling. We have not given you the figures on Mike Bilecki. A disappointing outing for him. 3 1/3, 5 runs, 7 hits, struck out 3, walked 2. I wouldn't want to go to dinner with him tonight. A strike to Sean Dunston. How come he wasn't swinging? He got in on him and he fouled it, and that's strike 2. Dunston has 10 home runs, so he's a threat. If it wasn't going to be out of play, why the wind blew it that far back, and Jose Nunez cranks it up for Chicago.
You know why I said 20-plus runs are going to be scored? You remember guaranteed no-hitter night last Saturday at the Kingdome up in Seattle? I think they should have had guaranteed 20-run day here at Wrigley Field today. And then if 20 runs aren't scored, then you get to see our telecast free from Toronto next week. Huh?
And he chased it. That's him. That's Dunston. And sometimes these pitchers are crazy to throw strikes to him because he'll get himself out.
Yeah, we talked about it. Of those 100 walks for his career over a 6-year period, 32 have been intentional. Sean does not know the strike zone yet, but he's still having a very formidable year. 10 home runs.
Girardi hits it to Pendleton. Tewksbury is doing wonderful work. Down go the Cubs in order. We have played 4. St. Louis is on top. 5-2.
League Baseball. Today's game is brought to you by the new generation of Oldsmobile. Step into the future now at your Oldsmobile dealer. Hormel, there is a name for food that's good. Hormel. And by Road Handler Treadlock Radios at Sears. Tough tires you can trust.
They work this scoreboard by hand out here at Wrigley Field. You see it's 5-2 going into the 5th inning, and they post those numbers by hand, and they have no idea of changing the scoreboard here or trying to modernize it at all. Here's Guerrero leading off. Ball one from the lefty Joe Kramer in relief of Mike Bilecki. Guerrero has struck out, tripled, scored. He can reach the seats to the opposite field. And he hits it to Sandberg. One out here in the fifth. Here's what has transpired in the game thus far. Pendleton drove in 2 in the first. And Pendleton drove in 2 more in the third. And a run batted in by Oquendo, and Sandberg has a couple of doubles, scored a run. And we have some action here at Wrigley Field. Todd Zeile takes ball one.
So far, the Cardinal third baseman turning Wrigley Field into Camp Pendleton today, right? 4 RBIs, single, triple.
And this batter has had a single, a walk, and he's scored a run. And a strike.
Well, the one thing that Don Zimmer didn't want to do was to get into his bullpen. Since losing Mitch Williams on June 11th, his bullpen has put up some horrendous numbers. I mean, mind-boggling.
Kramer got the breaking ball over and put Todd Zeile in the hole, 1 and 2.
This is the 12th game since Williams has been out of there. Over the 11 games, 27 innings, 36 earned runs have been allowed by the bullpen.
And Todd Zeile strokes another hit. He is certainly doing a lot better. Took him quite a while once they handed him the job when Tony Pena left St. Louis as a free agent.
On base 3 times today. 2 runs scored. He's got that very unusual style, that straight up and down style, but very quick hands.
2 hits and a walk for Zeile. Grace holds against him. Now Pendleton bats right-handed. He's driven in 4. He goes the other way, and it's foul. By the way, this is the first time since July of '88 that Pendleton has driven in 4 runs in 1 game. And he now has 42 for the year. The pitcher is due to lead off in the Chicago 5th. That's why Nunez was in the bullpen earlier, but he's no longer warming up. And another foul. They didn't get a very good swing at that breaking pitch. Strike 2. Pendleton singled home 2 in the first, and then he tripled in the third. The umbrellas open up, and some rain comes down. 1 out single by Zeile. And the folks were prepared because it was raining in Chicago this morning. Another one out of the strike zone to Pendleton. Still don't have an official game here. Cardinals leading 5-2, top of the 5th inning. 2-2. Short lead by Zeile, not running, and you know he darn near swung at that pitch. It's 3-2. Almost swung at that one despite the location.
Steve Ripley, the home plate umpire, was blocked out of this pitch, and that was very, very close. They did get help belatedly from first base umpire Gary Darling. Gary said no swing.
Let's see if Zeile runs. Yes, swing and a foul out of play. Showed you the lights here in the ballpark. They were added in '88. And they help on a rather gloomy day weather-wise. Zeile will go again. Center, Dawson. 2 out. No change of speeds on that one, and Pendleton had to hold back. That's the 2nd out. Not much much room to move around in that dugout or in the home dugout either. There's Milt Thompson. He's had a tough year.
290 batter last year, only 214 this year.
And 0 for 2 today.
With runners on base. Now this is hard to believe. Milt Thompson leads all active players with 2 outs and runners on base. A 333 lifetime average. And look at the guys he's ahead of. Kirby Puckett, Wade Boggs, Will Clark, and John Kruk.
Let's see if it happens here. There's a foul ball out of play. 1-1. All 5 St. Louis runs against Bilecki. Thompson has grounded out twice in this game. He hangs in there against left-handers. He doesn't bail out. 1 ball, 2 strikes. He doesn't step in the bucket. He gets hit by pitches occasionally because he stays right in there.
Well, that's the one thing. If you're going to hit left-handers effectively as a left-handed batter, you have to keep your right shoulder in there. You have to keep it closed.
Third baseman Wilkerson boots it. I'll be darned. We've had some errors on this infield the last couple of days.
Well, third base has been a problem for the Cubs all season long. Their third baseman lead all major league third basemen in errors with 16. That's the 16th error that Cub third basemen have made this year, 8 by Wilkerson.
They played Wilkerson, Salazar, Ramos, McClendon. That's a problem spot for him.
Jim Fry, the general manager, tried to make a move for a third baseman over the wintertime. Scott Coolbaugh of Texas was mentioned, but he was unsuccessful in landing anybody.
Ball 1 to Ozzie Smith. He has walked and scored. He's 0 for 1. There's Wilkerson. He just kicked the ball, putting Kramer in a 2-on, 2-out situation. And that's ball 2 to Smith. Getting a little brighter here at the park. The runner on second base is Todd Zeile. Thompson reached on the error. He's at first. We're in the 5th. St. Louis leading 5-2. Smith hits it foul. Well, they're playing golf at Westchester, and you'll see it next on CBS. Blaine McAllister was leading the pack the last we saw, a young man from Houston. Had the pleasure of meeting him. 2 on, 2 out. And a long one to left is foul. Now it's 2 on, 2 out, 2 balls, 2 strikes, 5-2 the score.
Ozzie Smith, of his hits this year, only 9 doubles, only 9 extra base hits. He is a much more powerful hitter from the right side than he is from the left side. His first left-handed home run coming after 3,100 at-bats.
And that shoots up the middle, and Zeile will score to make it 6-2. First run charged to Kramer. 20th run batted in for Ozzie Smith. And the error kept this game going. And the left-hander couldn't pitch around the miscue. And the lead runner, Thompson, stopped at second. You don't get a chance on a hit into the outfield, Tim, to throw many people out on the plate because of this thick grass.
Yeah, some misplayed balls. The Cub defense has just been terrible this afternoon. Misplayed ball in left field, responsible for 2 RBIs, Terry Pendleton, and now the error leaves it open. You give a major league team 4 outs an inning and they'll beat you.
Okendo shoots it into right, and Dawson might have trouble on that one. That's going to drive in 2 more. And Okendo's going to go for third with 2 out. And the Cardinal fans love it here. You see a lot of red formed by the Cardinal fans.
Oh, you might be thinking, what's so unusual about a 2-out triple? Well, you have to make sure if you're going to third base with 2 outs, because you don't want to make the third out at third. This is the third 3-out The third triple with 2 outs today.
And now Tewksbury takes ball 1.
That's a situation where Oquendo made up his mind. You don't really need the third base coach. Maybe a ball down in the corner, but Oquendo could see that ball all the way and decided to go to third. 3 2-out triples, though, this afternoon.
That is rare. Oquendo took a look to see what Dawson was doing.
There it is right there. That's the look.
Oquendo is not a really fast runner, by the way, but he got it over to third. And Tewksbury has no hits this year, takes a strike, 1 and 2. The score has mounted to 8-2 in favor of St. Louis. The rain has stopped. It's getting brighter. And down he goes. That ends the inning. St. Louis gets 3 more runs on 3 hits. The big Cub error. 1 left. St. Louis has left 4, and they lead at 8-2. Well, do you think you could hit one that far, Tim?
I thought that was a rent per month, right?
Oh, I thought that was in the ballpark. That's across the street.
455 feet, and obviously 100 feet past the left field foul ball.
I thought that was the address for someone who gets a lot of junk mail. They wanted to make sure they got it all. We're in Wrigley Field, Chicago, heading into the bottom of the 5th. St. Louis has expanded their lead 8-2, and this is a pinch hitter, Dave Clark. So the Cubs will have to use their 3rd hurler of the day. Clark drills a base hit into right center. He didn't waste any time. He'll get a double. And as Clark perches at second base, we'll go to New York and visit again with Greg Gumbel.
Well, Jack, the Toronto Blue Jays are no longer trailing the Yankees. In the 2nd inning, that base hit down the left field line by Glenn Allen Hill with the bases loaded was good for 2 bases, scored 3 runs, put Toronto up. They've scored 3 times more, and they lead the Yankees 6-2. They're now in the 4th inning. Back to Jack and Tim at Wrigley.
So the Blue Jays don't want to give up first place. Here is the first place hitter for the Cubs, Dwight Smith, strike 1. The Cardinals leading 8-2. The pinch hitter Clark probably figured, well, I'll get the easy fastball to hit, and he did. A leadoff double. 1-1 to Smith, who is 1 for 2 with a single and a run scored. Giants hang on at Houston 1-0. And the Orioles have caught the Red Sox 1-1 in the 6th, and the Blue Jays have opened the lead. Greg Gumbel just told you about. Off-speed pitch puts Dwight Smith in the hole. Guarantee you 8-2 won't be the final score here today, and this fella knows that.
We talked about guaranteed 20-run day. We're halfway there. 10 have been scored.
And that ball is into short left and a hit, and the runner will stop at 3rd. Smith was in the hole, and you could hear that one clunk off the bat, but he gets a hit, and the first 2 are on, and things happen in a hurry here in Wrigley Field. The coach there, Martinez, Jose Martinez, by the way. And here's Sandberg. Tewksbury has now allowed 5 hits, 1 walk. And Sandberg has 2 doubles, 1 off the glove of Coleman, the other into right field.
Remember, we talked about Ryne Sandberg being an inside hitter. If you're a pitcher, this is the part of the plate that you want to black out. Forget that part of the plate right there and keep the ball away. That's where they're going to try to get Sandberg out.
Reagan ball got into the strike zone, strike 1.
Here it is one more time. The only pitch in there to Sandberg is going to be a mistake.
Tewksbury put it off the plate inside.
We talked about it earlier. If you're going to pitch him inside, you got to keep the ball off the plate. He is a devastating inside hitter. You hear of hitters being low ball hitters, high ball hitters. Ryne Sandberg is an inside hitter.
On a breaking ball. Just like that, it's 8-5.
liked about the area right in here, watch where this pitch is. Now, that was a hanging curveball. It wasn't a fastball, but certainly a mistake. Home run number 20 on the year for Ryne Sandberg.
And he takes the National League lead away from Glenn Davis of Houston. And now they go to work. Here the pop fly by Grace. Paladin stays with it, and that's the first out of the inning. Sandberg, 20 home runs, now has 48 RBIs. That was his third extra base hit of the year. And there's Rick Horton warming up for St. Louis. And Tewksbury has to get through this fifth inning to have any chance of being the winning pitcher.
It's funny, Sandberg with 30 home runs last year. No second baseman in the history of baseball has hit 30 home runs 2 consecutive years. And unless he gets hurt this year, he's certain to do it.
Dawson now with 1 out. And ball 1. How are we doing on that 20-run total? Any good?
7 away.
7 away. I heard that out in Vegas the other day. 7 away. 1 out, nobody on. Dawson took ball 2. A double by Clark, the pinch hitter. Follow-up pop single by Dwight Smith. And the 3-run homer by Sandberg. And we have a typical Wrigley Field game. Breaking ball got in there. There's Sandberg. He is about as quiet a person as you see, and there's his dinger. And now Dawson walks one. Coleman is there, gets it, 2 out. And ball with a sinker as it got out there, a sinking line drive. I think Dawson thought he had something when he touched that one off. That's his second out, and I bet Tewksbury's heart skipped a beat. 2 gone. This is a tough place to pitch. Saw his shutout here yesterday, Tim. That doesn't happen very often.
The Cardinals have only had 2 complete games this year, both by Joe McGrain and both shutouts.
Ball 1 sinks low to Marvell Wynn.
I think Whitey Herzog just wants to get Tewksbury through the 5th inning, and then he'll bring in the left-hander to start the 6th.
Marvell Wynn to Willie McGee. Can he get there, Willie? Yep, down they go after the home run. 3 runs on 3 hits. Changes the scoreboard. We played 5 at Wrigley Field, and St. Louis leads Chicago. The score is 8-5. The new pitcher for Chicago, the third of the day, is Jose Nunez, 1-5. At the plate, Coleman, and a hit into left field. And a terrible throw by Smith, but backed up nicely. Mark Grace, the crowd groaned when he cut that one loose. Coleman doubles on the first pitch by Nunez. Well, he's keeping up to speed. Talking about Nunez, 26 innings, 26 hits.
Often you hear about outfielders who miss the cutoff man. This thing misses the mountain and the pass and everything. Obviously, Smith didn't have control of that ball, but fortunately for the Cubs, Grace backing up.
Now the grass might be a little wet.
Yeah.
A strong throw. Now the batter, McGee. Cardinals leading 8-5 in the 6th. Up the middle, good play by Nunez. Good base running by Coleman, and Nunez almost threw that away. Greg Gumbel is busy over in New York, so let's join him again.
Well, Jack, just to let you and the fans know regarding Giant pitcher Trevor Wilson, who was injured on this play at Houston. He hurt his ankle. He has been taken to the hospital for precautionary x-rays. And, of course, as soon as we get word on his condition, we'll let you know. Meanwhile, they've moved to the top of the 6th. The Giants still holding on to their 1-0 lead. Jack?
That's all the Giants need, another pitcher down.
Here is Guerrero, and there's a breaking ball strike. Guerrero 1 for 3 on the year. These Giants, I didn't think they'd be able to hang in there as they have.
I didn't either. 14.5 games out at one time. They're only 7 now. 7 games behind the Cincinnati Reds. The Reds losing on that controversial play to the Dodgers last night.
Coleman at second, 1 out. And he swung right over that one, and that's strike two. Both pitcher and batter are from the Dominican.
Think about it. The Giants have used 21 pitchers already this year on the heels of a season when they won the National League pennant last year using 15 starters.
If you can pitch, call the Giants. Sandberg keeping Coleman close. Ball one to Pedro. 1-2. Wrigley Field, Chicago. And a typical day scoring-wise, 8-5 St. Louis. Coleman on at second with one out. And a foul as Guerrero spoiled a pretty good pitch. You see all the red, the Cardinal fans, and all the blue, the Cub fans.
I'll tell you, Jack, another surprising team in the National League West, the Los Angeles Dodgers. They've won 6 in a row. They're only 8.5 games out in 4th place. But interestingly, the papers today with the Kirk Gibson, the possibility of Kirk Gibson returning to Detroit.
Coleman has a short lead. And Guerrero hits it high in the air. That'll be the second out. Dawson is under it. Has it. And I'll point out the obvious here that had McGee moved the runner, that would have been a run. It's going to be up to Todd Zeile, who's had a good day thus far. Zeile has 2 singles, a walk, and he has scored twice. This goes for both teams here. You better not miss good scoring opportunities. A leadoff double in this inning, but now Coleman's at third, 2 out.
There has been a dearth of good catching in the major leagues over the last few years, but both leagues have 2 good ones. Sandy Alomar Jr. over with Cleveland, second in the American League in voting for the All-Star game. Had Santiago not had his arm broken, then you could have had Alomar versus Santiago in the All-Star game, formerly with the same organization.
2 balls, no strikes. The count to Zeile.
Todd Zeile, an all-star at every classification in which he played for the Cardinals. He is going to be a fine, fine young catcher, but it takes time.
That's a strike. Coleman on at second base, 2 out. It's been a tough road this year for Zeile. They were booing him for a while in St. Louis. This is Nunez, following by Lecky and Kramer. Coleman at third base, 2 out. And another hard slider, 2-2.
It's much easier as you look at Nunez, who was traded for Paul Kilgus last December. It's much easier for a young catcher to break in, to be insulated in a lineup, be with a lot of older players, successful players.
He held up, apparently.
Always a tough call for the home plate umpire. So once again, Steve Ripley, who will be in the All-Star game this year, goes to Gary Darling at first base, and Darling said Zeile didn't go around.
Well, they could have punched him out. It's 3-2. That's ball 4. That is the 3rd walk given to St. Louis today to go with 11 hits, and Zimmer doesn't like it at all. First and third, 2 out. It's unusual today for the Cardinals to get this run production from the bottom of their order. Usually the lustiness comes from the top of the Cardinal order. This is Pendleton. That's ball 1. First 4 hitters with lofty batting averages, but from the 5 spot down, not much. Pendleton has driven in 4 today. First and third, 2 out. It's on the corner, 1-1.
Yeah, it's kind of a reverse of what the Cardinals usually do. Their bottom 4 guys, excluding the pitcher, have driven in all 8 runs.
But they had to get better. Their averages were so low. Thompson hitting under 200 for a long time. 215, 220, 225 averages. Pendleton's the man of the moment for St. Louis, and he fouls it, and it's 1-2. Tomorrow on CBS, flag-to-flag coverage of the Michigan 400. Defending champion is Bill Elliott, and Dale Earnhardt challenging him. Michigan 400 tomorrow, 1 on CBS Sports, followed by the Buick Classic. And more golf from the Buick Classic today after this affair at Wrigley Field. 1-2 to Pendleton. 2-2. Even a pitch like that is valuable to the pitcher. It is well out of the strike zone, but it made Pendleton change his approach, his look, his concentration. Now let's see what Nunez serves up. First and third, 2 out, 2-2. And the Cardinals lead 2. They have left 6. No runs, 1 hit, 2 left. We'll return to Wrigley Field after this word from your local station. Todd Zeile returns to his spot behind the plate after going out to talk with Bob Tewksbury to see if he can nurse him through the Chicago 6th. With Marvell Wynn to lead it off, he's 0 for 2. Excuse me. No, it's Wynn leading off here, and then Wilkerson, and then it's Wilkerson up here. In the 6th. And off the plate, 1-1. Tewksbury trying to weather the storm of the 5th inning when he gave up 3 hits, including the Sandberg homer, which made it 8-5 here. Now he's behind on the count to Kurt Wilkerson. 0 for 2 in the game. Curveball, fly ball. Thompson. 1 out. There's a lot to learn for a rookie catcher. We asked Todd Zeile what's the most difficult thing for him as he broke in.
I think the toughest thing has been the fact that there's been that microscope effect, and I think as a result of that, I've put a lot of pressure on myself to help the team win. And I think the fact that the team's been struggling, and I think that I was expected to drive in runs and really help the team win, is the thing that I've had the toughest time dealing with, not helping the team to win.
Sean Dunston, look out, Bob Tewksbury. That's a hit. Boy, that ball whistled right past the pitcher. Dunston's first hit of the day. And the Cubs anticipate the use of a pinch hitter because the number 8 man comes up now.
I don't think there's anybody in the National League who runs as hard to first base and makes as wide a turn as Sean Dunston. He always gives himself a chance to take an extra base.
Yeah, if you mess around out there, if you become lackadaisical, he'll take that extra base. Cardinals on top here. By 3, and this is Girardi, and that's ball 1. Joe Girardi is 0 for 2. Cubs now has 7 hits. Tewksbury has walked 1. And the pitching coach is going to come out and talk it over. That's the veteran Mike Rourke. Let's see if he can help. And we'll look down in the Cardinal bullpen. Niedenfuhr is the right-hander and Horton's the left-hander.
I think that's one of the reasons that Whitey Herzog didn't take Tewksbury out of the game to start the 6th inning. He only has 2 right-handers in the bullpen, and one is Lee Smith, and that's his short man. He, by the way, is one of the bigger short men in baseball.
I'll say, man, he's big. When he was pitching for the Cubs, I didn't realize just how big he was till I
big man
got next to him. Big hands. Niedenfuhr and Horton. And Tewksbury on the ropes. 1 on, 1 out. Joe Girardi, the batter. 1 on, 1 out. He chased the low breaking pitch. Gary Varsho, who just rejoined the Cubs, is waiting on deck to bat for Nunez. Two balls and a strike. And Paul Assenmacher is the potential new hurler for Chicago. Dunston at first. 2 2-2. No fastballs for Girardi to swing at thus far. Tewksbury with a record of 1-0. He'll throw that breaking pitch on any count. That's his bread and butter. Or the change. And a foul tip.
That was a good pitch right there. You had Girardi going outside, outside, outside with the slider, and Tewksbury popped the fastball back inside to Joe. A good pitch, and Zeal just couldn't hang on.
And he struck him out.
And that was another fastball inside. It's very, very important for a young catcher and young pitcher to remember that often it's not the pitch, it's how you got there. Remember the two sliders on the outside part? And now Tewksbury comes and pops that fastball right back by Girardi.
And Tim, remember the visit by the pitching coach. Probably reminded him of what he had to do.
I think he was reminding him for one thing, and I think he was also giving Ricky Horton a chance to warm up. And now Don Zimmer's changed his mind. Instead of going with Varsho, he's going to go with Hector Villanueva.
And he's hoping for the long ball with 2 out. He was going to send Varsho up if it was a double play situation because Villanueva doesn't run well. But now with 2 out, he'll go for the pump. And we'll see some swings from this guy, Hector Villanueva. The new pitcher will be Ossenmacher, whom we showed you earlier.
You saw those 4 home runs by Villanueva. 4 home runs in his first 27 at-bats in the big leagues. Not too shabby.
All or nothing at all with this guy. And Tewksbury starts him with a breaking pitch. They have him listed at 230. I think that's for starters. It's a rather bulging uniform. He's from Puerto Rico. Dunston at first, 2 out. Another one, same spot. Knee high, outside corner, strike 2, hard slider that time, wasn't it, Tim?
Uh-huh.
Tewksbury has 4 strikeouts, walk 1. 0-2 the count with 2 out. And a ground ball. Cut off by Pendleton, force out 5-4. Cubs leave 1. They have left 4. We've played 6. 8-5, St. Louis.
The Chicago Cubs have retired 2 numbers. The Hall of Famer Billy Williams, number 26. That hangs on his flag hangs on the right field foul pole. And over in left field, on the left field foul pole, Ernie Banks, number 14. So I don't guess the Cubs can retire any more numbers. They only have 2 foul poles, right? Ernie Banks' 500th home run, May 12th, in this ballpark. That's the fly ball. Beats the left back. That's it. That's it. Hey! He did it! Ernie Banks got number 500. A line drive shot into the seats in left.
There's Ron Santo, who's broadcasting now for the Cubs. He played third base alongside Ernie Banks, and Jack Brickhouse had the call of the home run. Hey, hey, hey. And you saw how cheap the home run can be at this park. Here's Milt Thompson, ball 1 with a new pitcher on the mound. Thompson is 0 for 3, and that's Paul Ossenmacher. And that should be caught by somebody. Dunston for the first out. Let's go for an all-star update to Greg Gumbel in New York.
Well, Jack, Ken Griffey Jr. of Seattle continues to show why he belongs in the starting outfield. He's the number 3 vote getter among American League outfielders. He hit his 12th of the year last night off of Nolan Ryan in a losing effort, and his .323 average is number 3 in the American League. Back to Chicago.
That's on the corner to Ozzie Smith, who has a walk, a single, a run batted in, and 2 runs scored. Ossenmacher, the 4th Chicago pitcher. That's what happens when your starter doesn't go past that 4th inning.
Yeah, we mentioned the 12 games that the Cubs have played since Mitch Williams has been out of there, and the terrible numbers their bullpen has thrown up.
Ozzie fouls this one away. He's in the hole, 1-2. Williams has a big brace on that right knee that it was operated on.
I'll
certainly miss him.
Injured the right knee trying to cover first base against the Mets on July 11th, or June 11th, pardon me.
Smith to Sandberg. And 2 out.
By the way, you may be wondering who that pitcher was that served up Ernie Banks's 500th home run. It was Pat Jarvis. Last I heard about Pat, he was the sheriff right outside Atlanta, and that's the team that Paul Ossenmacher came from. Jabbo, he was a battler.
Now, Pat Jarvis did that, huh?
Yeah.
Here's Oquendo. Only once have the Cardinals gone down in order. This might be the second time. Also on the Cub bench is Rick Sutcliffe. They fixed a little cartilage in his pitching shoulder. Ossenmacher throws low, ball 2.
Plus, Bill Long went down, the reliever. Jerome Walton, a fractured left hand, last year's Rookie of the Year. You got to have your soldiers to go to war.
Now ball 3 to Oquendo. That's why one of the reasons why the Cubs are in last place. If Oquendo gets on, they'll pinch hit for Tewksbury. Perhaps, because Horton is warming up again. And there is ball 4. And they call Tewksbury back, and they're going to bat for him. I mentioned it earlier. You're playing in Wrigley Field. You better take every shot at scoring runs that comes your way. And we're going to have Wilson, a young infielder, come up. He's a right-handed batter to bat against Ossenmacher. This fellow just up from Louisville. He's a third baseman by trade, but he won't get much chance to play. And then this pitcher, Rick Horton, whom we showed you earlier, will become the second Cardinal hurler. Tewksbury pitched 6 innings. You know, the most amazing part about Whitey Herzog is his memory. We saw earlier on our opening, we talked about how he charts everything and records everything. He remembers everything. He is remarkable in that department. Here's Craig Wilson. This is a 2-out shot at it by the Cardinals. Up high ball.
I'll tell you another area in which Whitey Herzog excels is the way he uses his right and left-handed bullpen relievers. I don't think there's anybody around who recognizes the strength of a left-handed pitcher any better than Whitey Herzog.
Wilson corks it right at Smith, and he caught it. He missed one earlier, but he caught this one. Cardinals have now left 7, but they still lead by 3. Here is the first pitch from Horton, and ball 1 to the leadoff hitter, Dwight Smith, and that was Harry Carey in the middle of the 7th inning. For every game, he leads the singing of Take Me Out to the Ball Game. The venerable Harry Carey.
He is a beauty, a legend in this town and a few other towns, too.
1-1 to the batter. Uh-oh.
Oh, look at that.
Where'd you get
look
that?
At that. What year was that, Jack?
Probably 1955 or so. Garagiola and Carey and myself. I worked with Harry for 16 years. Dwight Smith hits it hard. Oquendo can't handle it. And he's going for 2, and he makes it. Now a big hustle by Dwight Smith. He's familiar with this ballpark. The ball dies on the grass.
But see, he gave himself the chance to take the extra base by running hard out of the box. We talked about Dunston doing it, and when you play for Don Zimmer, he demands that you think double when you hit a single. And that's what Smith did. Looked like Oquendo could have made that catch.
This might be the shortest workday in the history of baseball. Rick Horton's going to be lifted.
Terrific terrific base running by Dwight Smith. Even though the Cubs trailing by 3 runs, they're still aggressive on the bases.
So the Cardinals make a pitching change, and they go to the veteran Tom Niedenfuhr. Gordon pitched to one batter, Dwight Smith. He lost him. Smith doubled. Niedenfuhr is into the game, and who's hitting? Mr. Sandberg. He doubled and scored. He hit a 3-run homer. Whitey wanted to get Horton in there to take care of the left-handed batters in the Chicago lineup.
And then if he does, then he pitches to Sandberg because Grace follows Sandberg.
And ball 1.
Last time up, this is a home run by a guy that Whitey Herzog once said was the best player he had ever seen. He said that back in 1985 when Sandberg hit 2 homers in the late innings, 1 to tie it and 1 to win it in extra innings.
Bruce Sutter, who was then with the Cardinals. Runner at second, nobody out. And ball 1 to Sandberg. He could make this a 1-run game. And a strike. It's funny, I watch Sandberg all the time, and it's funny how he flinches sometimes on pitches and bails out sometimes. And then Tim will come right back and hit the same pitch and hit it hard.
Well, that same pitch often is inside. It was a hanging breaking ball the last time. And if the Cardinals are shrewd, you'll stay away from Sandberg here. 20 home runs on the year.
You got to pitch to them, though, because Grace Dawson follow. He's in a great spot. And he hits it into the wall. They'll never throw him out. It's a hit. And it'll be first and third. That's 4 hits for Sandberg. He's not moving very well with a bad knee.
He's already made one error, an error yesterday, and you got to believe the knee had something to do with it. Excellent base running once again by Dwight Smith. When you're the runner, you're trailing by 3. You have to make the ball go through on the left side. Watch Smith. He makes it go through, and now when it hits the glove of Smith, it bounces far enough away to where he can go to third base. Good base running that has put Smith on third. He hustled for the double, and good play getting him to third.
And as he gloved the ball, the runner would have stayed at second. Now the batter is Mark Grace. He hasn't done many dramatic things for the Cubs this year. He could tie it here in the 7th inning. The Cardinals are leading 8-5. Tying run at the plate and nobody out. Smith at third, Sandberg at first, and Sandberg will steal a base. He has stolen 13, even though they would open up a base for Grace, because then you have Dawson after him. So don't be surprised if Sandberg runs. It's on the corner to Grace, 1-1. We're at Wrigley Field in Chicago. We're in the home half of the 7th inning with a sellout, standing room only crowd. Cardinals have out hit the Cubs and lead 8-5, but the Cubs are making noise here in the 7th. And Whitey Herzog has told us that the 7th inning has been the toughest inning for him to get through all year. That's down and in. 2 balls and a strike. The wind still blowing out toward the right field corner. Grace gets a hold of one. We might be tied here in a blink. Sandberg's running. And a base hit. Sandberg goes to third. Grace makes it 8-6. And the tying runs are on at first and third, and nobody out. How are we doing on the 20 runs, Tim?
6 away. Don Zimmer, recklessly aggressive, even though he's trailing by 3, sends Sandberg on the 3-1 count. Guerrero holding Sandberg on, and Grace pops it by him. Now the Cubs with the potential tying run on base.
Tim, this infield is really fast. The
Yeah,
dirt
it is.
part of it is really fast. It's bothered the infielders, and that's shot by Guerrero. Now the batter is Dawson. He's 0 for 3. Cubs could take the lead. Ball 1.
We talked about it earlier about the condition of the infield. That often happens. The Cubs were on the road for a week. They came back a couple of days of rain. The tarp was on the field, pounded that dirt down. That often happens after rainy days when the tarp's on.
Sandberg at third and Grace at first. Grace is a tying run. Dawson is the batter. Nobody out. And low. Ball 2. Niedenfuhr in a tough spot. He's hit Niedenfuhr well over the years. And don't think Niedenfuhr doesn't know that. Gotta get somebody out, Tom. McGee is going to get under it, and the runner will score. The throw should go into second. Oh, the runner stayed. I'm surprised. Cartier held him up. There's a good throw by McGee, but that surprised me.
It didn't send him. No, I didn't think they would. There's nobody out. Now there's one out, and you've got a contact hitter and Wynn up. I'll tell you, there are some times when everybody does something right. Sandberg at third tags up. Guerrero assumes the cutoff position. The throw is on line. Now watch Guerrero. He acts like he's going to field it because Grace was tagged up at first, and Guerrero didn't want him to get on second. And now Whitey's going to make another move.
You mentioned the big item, Tim. Nobody out, and so they didn't send it.
Right.
And Niedenfuhr leaves, and Daly takes over. The two managers matching wits against each other with Don Zimmer on the left and Whitey Herzog on the right. And here is the new pitcher for St. Louis. That's Ken Daly. Has a record of 1-1 with 1 save. He's the 4th St. Louis pitcher this afternoon. Marvell Wynn was due to hit, but we're going to have a pinch hitter. But you saw those pictures of the two managers. That's the way they used to look.
Signed to play professional baseball the same year. Don Zimmer took over the San Diego Padres in 1972, and now they're the boys of winter, huh?
They've been out in the sun and the wind for many years.
You could change that to the boys of winter, W-I-N-N-E-R, too. Herzog winning 3 National League pennants, 1 World Series in the 80s, and Don Zimmer winning the National League East last year.
Here's Domingo Ramos. He has hit 2 home runs. He's batting for Marvell Wynn, who is 0 for 3. We have first and third. 1 out, tying runs on. St. Louis leading 8-6. Ramos an opposite field hitter, but he pulls this one, hits it high in the air. That'll get a run home. The other runner tags at first, but stays there as the throw goes into second. It's 8-7, folks. That run charged to Niedenfuhr. 5 runs charged to Tewksbury, 1 to Horton, 1 to Niedenfuhr. It's been a 2-run 7th for Chicago. It's 8-7, the tying run at first, the lead run at the plate. And there are 2 out.
And we're only 5 runs short of that 20, a guaranteed 20-run day. And if they get 20, you get to watch the telecast free next week.
Oakland and Toronto. Now there are 2 out. And a ball in the dirt blocked by Zeal. Grace is the runner at first base, and he has stolen 8 bases this year. But against the left-hander, he shouldn't get a very good jump. Curtis Wilkerson, flying to center, grounded to second, flying to right. 12 RBIs this year, no homers. And 1 for Ozzie. Boy, that one was almost bobbled also. The inning is over, but the Cubs get 2. They trail by 1.
Today's game is brought to you by Toyota's quality line of cars and trucks. Toyota, I love what you do for me. Rust-Oleum, when only the best will do. And by the great taste that's a home run every time. It's Diet Pepsi, the right one.
So many things happen so fast in this park. We have an 8-7 game going into the 8th inning. And there you see the totals. And next week, comparable action, I'm sure, from the American League. Oakland at Toronto.
The Sky Dome, the Toronto Blue Jays with a chance to draw 4 million people this year. I've never been there. Have you?
I haven't seen it yet, Tim. Looking forward to it.
I am too.
In the beautiful city of Toronto. Now here we go at the top of the order. Ossenmacher, who worked the 7th, pitches the 8th. Coleman is up. And there are some changes for the Cubs defensively. Outside, ball 1. Domingo Ramos, the pinch hitter, drove in a run with a fly ball, stays into play left. Wilkerson, who had been playing third base, goes to left field. And Dwight Smith goes from left to center. Ossenmacher to Coleman. And a fly ball to short right field. The wind blows it away from Dawson and blows it foul. And it's 1 ball, 1 strike. Coleman has a single and a double. Out on the bullpen is the longtime Cub pitcher. Then over to Boston, back to St. Louis, Lee Smith. You look at that baseball in his neat hand, his pitching hand, it looks like a pool ball.
From Jamestown, Louisiana, 244 career saves, second to Jeff Reardon, and recently traded from Boston when he was a teammate of Jeff Reardon's. 1 more save, and he will break Dan Quisenberry's career save record.
I imagine with Dunston to lead off in the Cub 8th, we'll see him fresh at the start of the 8th inning. 1-1 to Coleman. Now he's in the hole. Coleman was out stealing earlier in the game. And hasn't stolen any. He's up over the 300 mark. Leading off in the 8th. Ossenmacher walked a man in the 7th, working in the 8th. And a foul. St. Louis by a run in the bullpen for Chicago. He's the best available now for Don Zimmer. Les Lancaster with Williams out. Nobody on or out in the 8th. 2-2. And a foul ball, and it's out of play.
We talked about how these two teams are very aggressive on the bases. Here it is, 15 runs have been scored. There hasn't been a stolen base in the game by either side. Coleman was caught earlier, and only 1 home run. That's the 3-run homer by Sandberg.
Cardinals led by a score of 8-2. The Cubs got 3 in the 5th and 2 in the 7th. Coleman hitting to right center field, and Dawson has it come to him. Makes the catch for the out. Looking at some of the things that have transpired in this game. To bring us an 8-7 score. Pendleton, 4 runs batted in this contest. And the Cardinals have scored a lot of their runs, 7 of them with 2 out. And the tail end of the batting order has done big work. And 20 home runs now for Sandberg and 4 base hits today. McGee, ball 1. Willie has a walk and a single. 1 for 3.
Sandberg with 2 doubles, a single, a home run, 3 RBIs, and 2 runs scored. Not a bad day at the office.
Now a strike to Willie McGee. Willie McGee with 1 out. He chased it. And he's in the hole 1 and 2.
Sometimes when hitters decide on swinging, they're going to swing regardless of where the pitch is. And Willie McGee tried to hold up, but the momentum of his swing just carried him through the strike zone.
With 1 out, he drills it to right field for a base hit. You don't run on Dawson. He has a great arm, so McGee stays at first. Let's take our CBS cameras outside Wrigley Field and see what's going on. It's a sellout here today. These are some of the folks on the rooftops across the street on the corner of Sheffield and Waveland. There's Don Zimmer. I guess he wants a new pitcher. He does. A one-out single by McGee, and with Guerrero coming up, Zimmer makes another move and brings in Les Lancaster. Hassemacher leaves after an inning and a third. No runs charged to him. Les Lancaster, imagine he's the best available to the Cubs now with Mitch Williams on the disabled list. And the right-hander will pitch to Guerrero.
Tell you, Don Zimmer, realizing that the pitcher is up third in the bottom of the eighth, has inserted Doug DeCenzo in center field, and he's moved Smith back from center field to left field.
These two managers love to match up, don't they?
They really do. Wilkerson is out of the ball game. The pitcher, Les Lancaster, will bat in the number 6 spot. There's Smith back in left field. It's a typical Wrigley Field game. It's great. And DeCenzo in center. DeCenzo, probably the best Cubs defensive outfielder. And the guy they go to in a pinch, right?
So the pitcher will bat where Wilkerson had been. Here's DeCenzo. He's a very good little defensive outfielder, not hitting much this year.
I said they go to him. I was saying that tongue-in-cheek. Go to him in a pinch.
This is what Don Zimmer has remaining. Right-handed batters, McClendon and Salazar. Now DeCenzo is in the game, and he still has Varsho as a left-handed hitter.
Said that tongue-in-cheek because DeCenzo was in the 19-8 game when the Cubs lost to the Mets on July 12th. And DeCenzo was the only pitcher that day for the Cubs to face the minimum. He faced 3 men in the 9th inning. Said after the game he was the legitimate short man, only 5'7".
Lancaster with a runner at first, McGee. And a throw over there. Guerrero at the plate. He's had 1 hit, a triple, a run scored. This pitcher is 5-3 with 4 saves. And he would like the double play ball. Cardinals leading 8-7, 8th inning. And there's a hit for Guerrero, his second of the day. He greets Lancaster with a hit. McGee stops at second. Now this next Cardinal hitter has been on base 4 times. Todd Zeile, he's walked twice, singled twice, and scored a couple of runs. Here's a pinch runner, Rex Hudler. He can run. And Guerrero is going to leave here in the late stages of the game.
Whitey making that move for 2 reasons: to put more speed on the bases and to put a defensive replacement in for Pedro Guerrero.
Probably Dave Collins. Here's Todd Zeile. He could lighten the load for the Cardinals, a lead by a run, 8-7. Ball 1.
I'll tell you now, if you're McGee with 1 out, a 1-run ball game, now's the time to try to steal third. With 1 out is the best time to try to steal third. It's worth the risk. Got Hudler, the trail runner. If you're the catcher, Girardi, you may be thinking about going to second. A lot of times the guy at first doesn't get as good a jump.
There's in for a strike to Zeile. Second baseman Sandberg working to keep McGee close at second.
The reason for the trail runner not being able to get as good a jump is he's got to wait until the guy at second base commits before he can try to steal second.
2 on, 1 out. 8th inning, 8-7 St. Louis over Chicago. Zeile took ball 2. Zeile has driven in 27 runs this year. Early on in the season, he failed most of the time with men in scoring position. Lately, he's been a much better hitter. The count goes to 3-1. Here on CBS. We have golf to follow this Cardinal Cub game here at Wrigley Field, the Buick Classic. Scores are pretty close with Blaine McAllister the leader the last we checked. 2 on, 1 out. 3-1 pitch. Base is loaded. Well, Terry Pendleton could have a big day. That's the 5th time that Zeal's been on base today. 3 walks, 2 hits. That is the 4th walk given to the Cardinals.
Cardinals love this situation. Already 4 RBIs for Pendleton. The wind is still blowing out in right field. So if you're Lancaster, keep the ball away from Pendleton. A lot of backdoor breaking balls to left-handers.
And that was one. That's what it was. The breaking ball got in on the knees. Over at third base is Willie McGee. Down at second is the pinch runner Rex Hudler, and at first base Zeal just walked. Pendleton has singled home 2, tripled home 2, and he's 2 for 4. Late swing. He got it by him. Strike 2. Lancaster with a record of 5-3. 4 saves. There's nothing else going on in either bullpen. It's going to be Lancaster against Lee Smith at the conclusion of this one. Pendleton wants at least a fly ball. Base is loaded, 1 out. Ball 1.
That was a show-me pitch right there. And what they did, they showed Pendleton that they'd come inside off the plate. Remember the first 2 pitches were on the outside part? They don't want to get him out with this. Now they'll probably go back outside. You can usually tell by the location of the catcher. They're going away again.
And a double play ball. No runs. 8 left for the Cardinals in the game. Must be a strange feeling for Lee Smith to be on the mound here in Wrigley Field wearing a Cardinal uniform.
He's been on the mound many, many times in this ballpark. His return trip to Wrigley Field.
1-1 with a half-dozen saves.
Traded for Tom Bernansky back on May 4th. The Red Sox needed a right fielder, and the Cardinals needed a stopper with Todd Worrell probably out for the season.
Dave Collins takes over at first where Guerrero had been playing. And Dunston leads it off. 1-run game. Ball 1.
We mentioned Dan Quisenberry tied with Lee Smith for 5th place. So if Smith can pick up a save, he goes ahead of Quiz in the save category.
Dunston went out after that one and didn't connect. It's going to be Dunston, Girardi, and then DeCenzo. Puts Dunston in the hole. We're in the bottom of the 8th. St. Louis leading in a 1-run game, 8-7. Gary Varsho is going to bat for Girardi next. One and 2. Got him. Smith blew it by him. Well, this has been a great rivalry over the years, highlighted by some wonderful baseball players. We showed you Ernie Banks earlier.
Ernie Banks with his 500th home run on May 12th and May 13th, 1958. 2,999 hits before Mo Grabowski's.
Into left field, hit number 3,000. A run is scored. Musial around first, on his way to second with a double.
Folks are still packing the bleachers here. The batter is Varsho. Ball 1 from Smith.
That pitcher was Mo Grabowski. That voice was Harry Carey, and of course the stance. Everybody knows that.
Joe Girardi was 0 for 3. Varsho bats for him. There's a fastball strike. 1-1 from Lee Smith. Varsho just up from the Iowa club. And this is the first time in many days that Whitey Herzog has been able to use Lee Smith. Hey, look at the sunshine here. That one just missed the corner. 2-1. Cubs have left 5. Once trailed 8-2. They scored 3 in the 5th, 2 in the 7th, and in the 8th. In the dirt, 3-1. We'll be back here on the 10th of July. The All-Star game.
I think the major question is whether the fans will be throwing all the balls back that are hit to the stands during the All-Star game, with the exception of maybe Sandberg and Dawson.
It'll be the 61st All-Star game. Smith throwing very hard, has a 3-1 count, and there's a pop fly into center field. And the shortstop backs out, and the catch is made by Smith for the second out. Now hitting against Lee Smith and batting for the first time after moving into center field is Doug DeCenzo. Little fella tough to pitch to.
We mentioned 5'7", and Lee Smith, there's nothing tricky about him. A 95-mile-an-hour fastball and a hard slider.
And we had a gun on Smith, and one of his pitches was 95 miles an hour. Ball 1 high. Two out and nothing going on for the Cubs. DeCenzo is a switch hitter, adding to his value on the Cub bench. Second baseman Oquendo. Down go the Cubs. Into the 9th we go. St. Louis leading this by 1 run. Some game. The clouds in the Wrigley Field area in Chicago. Sellout crowd, standing room only. Lights are on. We're into the 9th. It's 8-7. St. Louis leading Chicago. 8-7. Les Lancaster on the mound and Milt Thompson at the plate. And adding to your Saturday afternoon viewing pleasure on CBS, the Buick Classic coming up next from Westchester. Thompson bounces it to Sandberg. By the way, we have a new catcher for Chicago. It is Lloyd McClendon. Plays third base, left field, catches, pinch hitter, right-handed batter. Good guy to have on your bench. Well, for Milt Thompson, 0 for 5. You know who's going to bat for the Cubs in the 9th? The top 3, Smith, Dwight Smith, Sandberg, and Grayson. If anybody gets on, Dawson. Strike 1 to Ozzie Smith. 1 hit today and a run batted in. Off the plate, 1-1. Lancaster gave up a single and a walk in the 8th, but snuffed out the rally when he got Pendleton to hit a double play ball. Cardinals have left 8 and hit into 2 double plays. That's out of play. Cubs don't have many people remaining on the bench for Don Zimmer to use. Luis Salazar.
And then there was one.
At the top of the order will be coming up, so they won't need any pinch hitters. Unless they have a big inning before they get the tying and winning runs across. Cardinals a little better off on the bench. Smith hitting here with 1 out. Ball rides in high, 2-2. Time called. If anybody gets on in this inning, Dave Collins will be batting. He's hitting in the number 9 spot. So Thompson is out, Smith is up, and Oquendo waits to bat next. Bouncer to Dunston. He cranks it up, and Grace helped him out. He drilled it into the dirt. Boy, a tough job catching those throws from Dunston.
This is more than a short hop caught by Mark Grace. Watch Dunston pound that one time. Strongest throwing arm for a shortstop in baseball. And that may be just for anybody. I mean, he has got a cannon, but a great play by Grace, digging it out of the dirt on the other end.
Grace told us here is a ground ball foul by Oquendo with 2 out in the 9th. Grace told us that when Dunston pats the glove like that with the ball, watch out. And Grace also told us that's the toughest thing he has to do in playing ball for the Cubs is to catch those throws from the shortstop. Oquendo hits it into center field. DeCenzo has it. The stage is set. We're going into the bottom of the ninth. St. Louis leads Chicago 8-7. Get this kid a hot dog. He's eating his glove.
You've heard that expression, pull the string? Another version right here.
His mother told him not to bite his nails, so he's chewing on the glove. These two teams play tonight, Pittsburgh at Montreal, and Montreal tries to go in first place. So the winner of this game gains a game on the loser of that one. Here's Dwight Smith leading off against Lee Smith, and he hits the ball foul past first. We've got Ozzie Smith, Lee Smith, Dwight Smith. This fellow has had 3 singles in a row.
After an 0 for 16 streak.
St. Louis. Nobody on or out in the bottom of the ninth. And he got it by it. The Cubs haven't been able to rally much. That's usually their trademark in this park.
On the other hand, with Smith injured on June 13th, 14th, and 15th, the Cardinals lost 3 straight games in the 9th inning. That hasn't been done by any club since 1982.
1-2 and outside. 2-2. Smith throwing 92, 94, and 94 miles an hour with the pitches in this inning. Dwight Smith waiting for another. 2-2 the count. Sandberg next. Grace to follow. If anybody gets on, the Cubs send up Dawson. Good game here at Wrigley Field. They usually are. Ball 3. Ball 2, 2-2. That ball take your kneecap off if it hits you. 2-2. Fly ball for McGee. 1 out in the ninth. Lee Smith has retired 4 in a row. Can he get Sandberg? All he's had is a single, 2 doubles, and a 3-run home. His former teammate Ryan Sandberg. Strike. Same goal for Lee Smith, Tim, with regard to pitching him away?
Absolutely. Fastball slider away. Nothing inside.
Third baseman handled it. Rid of it in a hurry to Collins, 2 out. That's the first time Sandberg has been retired today, and that's 5 in a row by Lee Smith. You see that baseball in Lee Smith's pitching hand. I tell you, it does look like a pool ball. There's Don Zimmer wondering if Mark Grace can prolong the game. Grace has a walk, a single, 2 runs batted in. With 2 out. Ball 1. That's an advantage for Grace. It's murder when Lee Smith gets ahead on the count. 2 out. Nobody on. 8-7 St. Louis. Bottom of the ninth. That one missed.
Cardinal outfield properly deep. They're much deeper than they would be for Grace normally to try to prevent the double. But Pendleton not on the line at third base, and Collins not on the line at first.
Lee Smith knows that Dawson bats next if he loses Grace. Ball 3. Well, he's going to make it exciting, isn't he? On 3-0 with 2 out. Ball 4. That's only the second walk given to the Cubs all day. Smith had retired 5 in a row, and he's going to pitch to Andre the Giant. And Dawson is 0 for 4. You can see these Cub fans bowing in the direction of Dawson. He had struck out, reached on an error, lined out to left and flied out to center, and with one swing he could win the game for the Cubs. They are the two adversaries, Smith and Dawson.
The Cardinal outfielders also reminded to throw the ball to second base. You don't want to make a mistake on a ball hitting the gap and try to get the runner at third base should he elect to go there. Because if you do that, Dawson might be on second. You got second and third, the potential winning run on second.
Well, who's going to win this game? 8-7 St. Louis, 2 out. Ball 1.
I don't think the outfield could get any deeper unless they had a ticket.
Cardinals once led in this one, 8-2. You see the figures, 3 out of 16 for Dawson against Smith. Smith has a half-dozen saves. Look how deep those outfielders are. Tying run at first. Grace, pretty good runner, 2 out. And the breaking ball. And you heard a collective groan from the Cub fans about the miss and a gasp from the Cardinal fans about the swing.
Cardinal fans slightly outnumbered, but not by much.
8-7 St. Louis, 2 out, bottom of the ninth, tying run at first. 1-1 to Dawson. Ball 2-0. They're sure working at keeping the ball down, aren't they?
They're working on keeping the ball away, too. Look where Todd Zeal is sitting. That ball just low.
And Dawson is saying, come to me. Look at Whitey. Let's go. 2 balls and a strike. Fly ball to left. And it hangs up for Coleman. St. Louis wins it, 8-7. The wind hurt that one, Tim. He got a pretty good swing at it. Lee Smith gets a save as St. Louis beats the Cubs for the 2nd day in a row. And you've got to have that stopper in this day and age to win in the big leagues.
I think Dawson hit it a little above the trademark. He didn't get all of it. And I think the salient point, Jack, is that the wind was blowing out to right and not to left.
Kind of stopped the ball and pulled it within range of Coleman. Lee Smith enjoys his return to Wrigley Field.
And with that save, goes in front of Dan Quisenberry for 5th place on the all-time save list. Dawson's reaction.
Oh, he knew he didn't hit it good. I thought he had a little better swing. He knew he didn't. And it's an 8-7 victory. St. Louis left 8. Cubs left 6. And Tewksbury got the win, and the starter by Lucky was the loser. Hope you enjoyed the affair from Wrigley Field, Chicago.